Hi everyone. I am sure all of you would have heard of mental and physical availability. I am sure some of you would have read How Brands Grow Part 1 and Part 2. Now, what does mental and physical availability mean? And how do we apply in our business, in our day-to-day life is what I'm going to talk about. Now, mental and physical availability in a layman terms is basically how you are ensuring your brand is easier to mind and easier to find. That typically means that if all your efforts are in the direction of ensuring that in all the buying occasions your brand is coming to the mind of consumers in the buying situation, that is what easier to mind is. Easier to find is that at all the relevant locations where the product is supposed to be, where the consumer and the shopper shops, is where the product is available, is where you basically say that it is easier to find. Now, from a marketeer perspective, let's look at what are the different levers which we have to build mental and physical availability. Now, mental availability let's take an example of a multiplication factor for a mental availability point of view. The first factor in the mental availability equation is weeks on air. The second factor is distinctive assets. And the third factor is category entry points, which basically means that if you have the sufficient weeks on air with respect to the kind of GRPs which is what required to reach more number of consumers, that is what is being maintained, when that's get multiplied by the distinctive assets which the brand stands for, which then multiplied by the various category entry points or various associations which the brands want to create in the minds of consumers, if all the three work together in the multiplication factor, that's where you are able to generate your mental availability score. When it comes to physical availability, there is again another multiplication factor that come into play. The first one is presence, which basically means that the product is available in the store or in the location where it should be. The second is prominence, which basically means that just the availability of the product is not enough. In the store, are there any disruptive displays? Are there secondary displays where the product is visible? Whether the product is there on the eye level, and a lot of stuff like that where the product is displayed prominently on the shelf is where the consumer would notice the product and pick the product. That is the second multiplication factor. And the third multiplication factor is portfolio. Now, what typically portfolio means that at various occasions in different places, consumers have different needs of different type of SKUs. Whether the brand is able to fulfill those portfolio gaps from an SKU perspective to a channel perspective to a geo perspective, that's where the portfolio gets fulfilled. And hence, from a physical availability point of view, the multiplication factor of presence, prominence, and portfolio is what it will make it to be an easier to find sort of a proposition. So these are the two multiplicative factors for mental and physical availability, which you can apply in your brand, in your framework of operations. Thank you.